Hmm. Have you had situations like that? Like, I know a lot of fighters come into fighting in the informal direction. You know, they get in a lot of fights in the street, and then they see the gym, and they're like, oh, you know,
Well,
these guys are
yeah,
training this full time, and you know.
absolutely. I mean,
But you were more. You
I
started
was
out. You started
young,
out with the
but I was a little
professional
bad
life.
kid. I was a bad kid. Like, I wasn't bad, but I was hyper.
Were you getting in fights in school and stuff?
Not so much fights. I was a biter.
Yeah.
I was more of a biter. I would go and just bite kids. He's like, "Oh, you took my toy. I'm biting you."
Wow. Even when you started to learn how to use your hands and stuff, you're still.
I think I was still biting kids. Probably like in like kindergarten. I was a little biter.
Dude, never mind. That could be the new nickname. That you better be careful. But that's
I mean,
an animal instinct.
on the streets, a couple times I know people, like, they'll test me, like, especially around, like, I live right around Archbishop Ryan, and you know, we're not North Philly or anything, but we're known for just, like, kids will just go at it for no reason. Like, everyone has something to prove, and it's like, yeah, I'll sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I'll run my mouth a little bit because, I mean, someone's gonna call you a jerk, you're gonna call them a jerk back, and you know you're gonna get rallied up. But like, I'm trying to actually calm that down a lot. But I mean, there's only so much someone can take. But yeah, I've gotten into like little things, nothing too big. I mean, just little altercations, a couple punches here, a couple punches there. The worst, probably, I was trying to get one of my friends out of a situation. Because, like I said, since I fight, I know my characteristics and like what goes along with fighting and being part of MMA. There's like a code you have to follow, and being loyal to like your friends and family is one thing. The worst was probably one time I told my friend, we got out of it was a Ryan like soft hop, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago. And somebody started with him. And then I told him, I'm like, come on. I was like, let's go. I don't want anything to happen to you. So I pulled him away, and then I turned my back. Stupidest mistake of my life, I turned my back. I got my coat pulled on, and then there was like 10, 12 guys just kicking me in the head. And I just got up, and I'm like, all right, I just got beat up pretty bad. And I just walked in, and they're asking me, like, you're the kid that got beat up? I'm like, yeah, like, look, I'm bleeding. And they're like, yeah, that was pretty bad. They're like, do you need us to call the cops? I'm like, nah, I think I'm just going to get in the van and leave. So my friend's mom picked me up, and we just left. I mean, my mom had to, like, physically force me to go to the hospital. Like, I was like, I don't want to go. Let me just sleep it off. They're like, no, you could have a concussion.
But you weren't, like, going crazy trying to get back at him? Like, you remained calm through the whole thing?
One guy held me down, and they're all kicking at me. Like, I actually remember trying to get up. I got up on both knees and my hands, and somebody just comes from like a couple feet away and just like field goals me right in the chest, fell right back down. Got up, and then I was just like, all right. That was probably the worst. That field goal right to the center of my chest. I still remember it. It was just like a sharp pain right down the center. And it was just like, I mean, I didn't get to really throw any punches. Like, I was on the ground more, like more than half the time I was on the ground. I don't even say what you want. I got my butt kicked, but I mean, I really couldn't do anything. Like, I took a whooping. Like, plain and simple, I just got my butt kicked. And then my mom, like I said, she had to force me out of the bed. She was like, come on, you gotta go to the hospital. I'm like, Mom, it's like 12, 1 in the morning. I'm not trying to go to the hospital. I'm trying to go to sleep.
Did you have any injuries? Like, was your sternum or anything messed up?
Oh, right here was cracked up pretty bad.
Really?
They said it was bruised really bad. I had a concussion. I mean, I was bleeding, like, right here. I mean, it wasn't, like, horrible. But, like, I do remember being on the ground, and I'm like, man, I think I could hold my own with a couple different people if these guys are like all beating on me and it feels like love taps. I'm like, yeah, I'm not throwing anything back, but I mean, it's not as bad as you think. Like, you fight in the ring, you fight in the cage, those guys know what they're doing. These guys on the street, they'll talk a lot, but when it comes down to fighting someone one-on-one, it'll never happen because they don't know what they're doing. And when they're out hitting you, you're gonna be like, man, this is just like taps. Like, it doesn't really hurt. Because you're so, like, used to, you know, being comfortable with throwing your hands, just going with the flow. I mean, like, it happens. I hope it never happens again. It wasn't a good experience, but, I mean, it just showed me, it was like, man, like, the guys that I was with really did train me, like, you know, to be able to take a beating. I mean, no one wants to take one, but it happened, and thank God I was all right. And it was probably because of my training.
So. And